Let's turn to this now. Zimbabwean citizens and activists in South Africa have mixed feelings about the U.S. lifting sanctions against Harare. Washington announced this week the removal of general sanctions imposed on the Southern African nation 20 years ago. However, sanctions on President Emmerson Mnangagwa, his wife, Deputy President, and other high-ranking members of ZANU-PF remain. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba reports.
Pro-ZANU-PF activists living in South Africa say sanctions on Zimbabwe must be removed unconditionally.
It would be in the best interest of the general public of Zimbabwe that all the illegal sanctions are removed unconditionally. It has been the clarion call by African nations and all progressive forces that these sanctions are removed unconditionally.
Opposition members believe that sanctions are meant to punish those who disregard basic human rights of ordinary Zimbabweans.
Sanctions by their very nature are meant for punishment. They are meant to punish, to sort a certain relief. And in this case, we are talking about the sanctions of individuals of ZANU-PF leadership who are in the highest echelons of governance in the country. And it is meant and thought perhaps that there will be remorse enough to feel for the suffering of the Zimbabweans in terms of violation of human rights. And
other voices suggest that sanctions have nothing to do with the current state of Zimbabwe. They believe government policies have killed the Zimbabwean economy.
We are on record as the Zimbabwe Communist Party that the destruction or the collapse in the Zimbabwean economy is not as a result of the sanctions. It is as a result of the neoliberal policies that have been continuously implemented by ZANU-PF regimes.
Ordinary citizens say corruption and other domestic issues are the real problems behind the suffering of ordinary citizens.
Our problem in Zimbabwe has not always been the sanctions. I think it is very important to set the narrative and speak the truth as it may be spoken, without fear or favor. Our crisis in Zimbabwe has been the crisis of governance, the crisis of corruption, the crisis of closing the democratic space, the crisis of leadership.
African countries, including South Africa, have called for the complete removal of sanctions on Zimbabwe and other nations. However, the impact of the latest decision by the US will not be felt immediately on the ground. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ziniko Mhlaba in Johannesburg.